Welcome back, everyone, to another Company of Heroes 2 replay cast. And this time it's going to be a 4v4 on Essen Steelworks, everyone's favorite map. It is uploaded by, or sent in by, 47, who's playing as the OKW on the western side of the South Spawn. His buddies are going to be Sahala, Feng, I don't know what that is, so I'll just call him Sahala or Sahara. So, yeah, Sahara. PN Hajime Masite. PN. What would that be? Would that be Philippines? I have no idea. Maybe it's not a country, maybe it's just a clan. Let me check it out. Might be Panama or something. Because people sometimes put in, like, their country's, I don't know, little thing. What is it? Well, he looks pretty Japanese to me. Anyway, then we have Commissar 500, so 2 OKW plus 2 Wehrmacht. On the opposing sides, we're going to have Dilettante, or Dilettante, however you want to call him. He's the British. Mexican Hipster, Soviets, Flaming Fist as the Soviets, and Binger as the Americans. So Americans, 2 Soviets, and a UKF. Essen Steelworks. Everyone loves this map so much, especially like all the buildings. Yes, everyone loves it. Anyway, first engagement is going to be 47 Sturmbaus, very aggressively chasing after these conscripts, but the conscripts will smartly get away and just use the long range to their advantage and now force back these Sturm Pioneers with the help of the Soviet combat engineers. In the meantime, on the right, more aggressive play from these Sturm Pioneers. This time it's Hajime Masite's troops, and they're advancing, absolutely wrecking these rear echelons, but here comes the rifleman to the rescue. America, fuck yeah, and coming in with those Garands to save the motherfucking day. Of course, it's a little bit too late, as the Sturm Pioneers have already bought enough time to an MG42 to get into this building, which is actually very, very crucial, because this building controls the whole area of the fuel point on this side of the map. Okay, no, never mind. Sorry, I thought that I had my browser open, because it's kind of like, it's 40 FPS, but it feels less than 40 FPS. So, yeah, I was thinking, like, why is it laggy? Anyway, it's not laggy. We have a push on the left-hand side. Actually, very good job by 47 moving up and trying to get this cutoff point. However, this machine gun is going to unfortunately force away these Volksgrenadiers. In the meantime, we have, of course, the Sturm Pioneers, but the Sturm Pioneers are taking massive damage from the Maxim machine gun. Maxim is forced to retreat by the MG42, but the Sturm Pioneers themselves are very, very close to death. They are saved only by the negligence of the Soviet infantry, which tries to run away from the MG. They should have absolutely stayed there and tried to kill that very, very valuable squad, but they didn't do that, and now, well, now they're never going to have the chance again. Sturm Pioneers on the right, catching these riflemen at close range, and you can see the effectiveness of these SCG-44s absolutely wiping out one of the squads already without even a second thought, and we already see that these 8 armed and dangerous Sturm Pioneers are doing very well. Smoke grenade being thrown. Interesting. Wait, what? Smoke? What? Exactly how did he throw a smoke grenade? Hold on. I'm very confused, actually. How did he throw a smoke grenade? He's got concussive because he's picked, you know... Oh, no, that's just vet 1. Sorry, vet 3. What? How did he throw a smoke? Probably it was just a mortar. Must have been the mortar, and a coincidence of some kind. Anyway, as you can see, the Germans on the right side have a pretty good thing going for them. They're doing well. The problem is, as you can see, the Allies are just moving in and capturing random points behind their backs. So this is actually very well done by the Allies, even though they're not winning all that many engagements. In terms of the VPs, they still have 3 VPs, as opposed to the Germans' 0. And of course, they also have a lot of points. They're about to cut off the entirety of the right side, essentially this fuel point. The Germans have it, but it doesn't matter, because at this point, as you can see, the Allies have the control of everything around it. And they're going to still have this for a long while because of this action of that great combat engineer squad. And on the left side, you can see the kind of disposition of the units is that, like, the Allies are surrounding the Germans in some way. And that's, of course, not allowing the Germans to build up a decent defensive line, and it's not allowing the Germans to secure their resources. As you can see, these infantry sections are about to cut off the other fuel point. They're about to, in fact, cut off every point on the map except for one strategic point. So this is a very, very good position to be in if you're the Allies, because you've just completely cut the German income. Despite the fact that the Germans have been winning the engagements, and technically they are past the halfway point around the map, They are far behind when it comes to income, and that's going to transition into later problems. As you can see, yeah, the smoke is coming from mortars, both from the Soviet side and from the German side, so, well, Soviet Allied side and from the German side, so I was actually kind of wrong. It just really looked like that was a smoke grenade, I'm sorry. Yeah. So, of course, the machine gun over here was forced back, so Commissar 500 doesn't have a suppression platform at this point, which allows the Allies to push in. And that's exactly how you should do it. You should disrupt the enemy support weapons in some way, like the Allies did, and fucking A. I'm sorry. Anyway, what was I saying? I don't know. I don't know anymore. I don't know what I was saying. Anyway, yeah, because they disrupted all of the support weapons. And what was really good about that is that, of course, they didn't know where to face them. Like, they had enemies to their left, enemies to their rear, so the Axis couldn't just face their support weapons in one way or another and just be safe. And now they're getting flanked constantly, and all of the territory that the Axis held in the middle is collapsing to Allied control, not on the left side, though. So we have Sahara and 47 that are doing quite fine. Oh, wow, these two Volksgrenadiers escaping with very, very low HP. Definitely is good for the Axis. Looks like they were able to destroy this UC with Flamethrower, so that is a good pickup for the Axis. And now they have a sort of solid, stable front line set up. And this is going to be very, very good for them and for their, of course, efforts. Now, they're going for a flak half-track for 47. That is probably a very good move, just to counter the Soviet players' Maxims and all of that. And, oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Okay, never mind. Seems fine. See, I thought that these Sturmbanners were a little in trouble. Of course they were, but they were able to escape. And yeah, Sahara is very smartly going for an AT gun, because he's already seen that the Allies do build some vehicles and that the UC was there. Of course, we're going to have other vehicles on the field soon, so might as well be prepared. Anyway, right side, bit of a fight, but it looks like the Allied superiority in terms of units. Oh my god, they're sending so many messages to me that it, like, the vibration on my phone almost looks like it's actually a call. Anyway, yeah, the infantry units have been lost. You can hear the messages, of course. Anyway, we do have a... Oh my god! More messages! I'm gonna literally throw away my phone. Like, fuck you. Anyway, can I finally cast this game? Okay, good. So, Free Grenadiers pushing up. Very, very good force. This can deal with most of the Allied infantry if it keeps together. Now, if it also upgrades with LMG-42s, they're golden. They've got some support weapons to help them out. Where is their teammate, though? Where is their teammate? He's back at base reinforcing. He's got Panzer Fusiliers, so he's going to have the Jagdtiger later on. He might even want to go for a Sturm Officer, which could be useful. Right side does have a Stuart, though, from Binger. And now he's moving in, and that Stuart is just going to be uncounterable because, unlike Sahara on the left-hand side, Commissar 500 did not go for any anti-tank guns. And he's now going to feel the pain from that because he can't... Oh, wow, the physics. Because he can't counter this thing except for a few Panzerfausts, and the Panzerfausts aren't really all that, you know, much of a counter. They're just an obstacle. They slow down the tank, but they don't really stop it. And right now, the shock troops are being destroyed by the engineers, which is kind of funny, especially for the Americans because they can just jump out the crews and repair them. Now, he's not doing that because he's got some re-echelons, although I would do that if I were him. Anyway, he does have a massive attack on the left side, and by he, I mean 47. It's not all that massive, but he's causing a lot of damage, actually. And it's allowing, he's allowing Sahara to actually fortify up the left-hand side quite well. As you can see, he's already got a bunker on the munitions point, plus a teller mine that's going down. Plus, he's probably got something, no, he's got nothing that defends the VP, but he's got a lot of stuff over here around the two main buildings, these two mills kind of buildings, that are also defending the battle quarters and the whole German OKW base grouping. So that's very, very good, and it's allowing the Germans to just slowly but surely push up on the left. As you can see, there's a couple of British squads actually in buildings, and is this a Maxim? No, it's a Vickers. I thought it was a Maxim stolen, but no, it's a Vickers. And Vickers plus a few 120mm mortars are there, but they're slowly but surely being pressured and pushed upon. On the right side, the Allies still have this whole area kind of under their control thanks to that nice Stuart push and thanks to the fact that the Axis over here were very much unprepared for that. Looks like, yeah, Hajiman has gone for a Lukes. However, obviously the Lukes against the Stuart will not have that easy of a time. So right now, also, the Allies can get an AT gun to counter that, and just in general, the Axis are in a bit of a deeper shit on the right side. There's a couple of nice demo charges, but I mean, the demo charges anymore, you don't really... Although, what would have been very smart, I think, for Flaming... is that Flaming Fists? Yes, probably Flaming Fists demo charge. Is that I would have put a demo charge over here, because the demo charge is spotted when units get near it, but probably you need the true sight, you know? Because Company of Heroes 2 has the true sight system, so if you hide it behind a corner, you can actually probably just keep an eye on it, and if they get into the building, you detonate it, and the building collapses, and you kill them. If they turn around the corner, especially if you destroy these obstacles, if they turn around the corner, you blow it up, and they die. That could be a thing. Anyway, the Lukes is going to help at least against the Riflemen. The Riflemen seem to be having some bazookas, but it's not enough. He's going to try to get that BAR, but I think that that's a bad idea. He's taking a lot of casualties to do that. Can he survive? Looks like it. Good, that's lucky for him. And, yeah, so at this point, Flaming Fist and, you know, the other guy over here, Binger, are doing quite well, I guess you could say, on this side of the map, but they're having some problems in that the Germans are, of course, pushing back. The Germans are doing more than pushing back, though, on the left-hand side. They're consolidating, and as you can see, they're trying to take the left side munitions. It's not working. Soviet player, Mexican hipster. Wow, I didn't know Panzer Juice was in this game. He's got a Su-76M assault gun, of course, from the tier 3, which is fine, although I'm wondering if he's going to make use of the tier 4, because the Allies were the ones with, of course, the resource advantage for most of this game. And actually, they still do have resource advantage, partially because of this good, you know, well-built fuel cache. Probably a good idea to have that. So the Allies are still ahead when it comes to fuel income. I wonder how much they're actually going to use that, because, oh boy, run away. Run away. I mean, I know upgraded Papa Shot conscripts with hit the dirt, but yeah, just run away. What's actually pretty good for the Allies is going to be the tier 4. Now, Flaming Fist has not gone for that, and he has 239 fuel. I sure hope he's not saving for the S2, because that would have absolutely no, you know, no sense. Whereas the Brits and the Americans, well, the Brits do have the company command post and a Centaur, but the Centaur is going to soon enough feel the fury of the Tellermine, although he's lucky. He's lucky. Lucky as shit. And also, wow, those 20 mils are actually doing a lot of damage to the bunker. That's pretty nice. I didn't know how much damage it did. Anyway, Stuart is going to die to the Rakenwerfer. Can it escape? Just barely. Lucky. Anyway, even though he's lucky, the Axis are still pushing in. And that's the advantage on the left-hand side. That's kind of transitioning and trickling into the center and the right. So that's, of course, very good usage of an advantage by the Germans. They need to put pressure on the enemy from their stronger flank towards their weaker flank. And that would be very good. Nicely salvaging that AT gun, preventing the Allies from using this. Although I think that, oh no, this is a bad idea. Yeah, of course, Sturm Pioneers, or Pioneers in general, take more damage while salvaging. So trying to salvage an enemy unit or an enemy weapon while under fire, not the best idea. Well, things are flying off randomly. That's fine. That's fine because the Allies are kind of coming back, but as I said, the Germans, with their great advantage on the left, they're starting to trickle that onto other areas of the map, and actually Sahara is pushing in with his, at this point, very limited force. He's got a lot of units in the bank that he could be using. With his very limited force, he's trying to push in to finish off that Centaur, which hit the Tellermine in the end, but he couldn't do it. That is because he's lacking mobility. Where is his mobility? It could be all that. Yeah, he's just lacking the buildings to build his actual tanks. He does have the battle phase free though, so that means that soon enough, considering especially that his Pioneers right now are running back to base, we will see some lovely Lovely Panthers probably out of him. Anyway, Fallschirmjäger's trying to attack into the center and firing some Panzerfaust at the Su-76M, but the Su-76M survives because the Fallschirmjägers were pinned by some kind of suppression platform. There goes the Stuart from a Reckenwerfer attack. That's good. And they're also going to try to get into the ambulance. If they can kill that ambulance, the Allies are not going to have their forward retreat reinforcement point. In the meantime, they're trying to set up some tank traps on the right side, so precluding the access to the Allies' avenue of attack into the right. That's okay. And oh boy, the 120mm mortars are just absolutely tearing apart the German infantry that's trying to push up. And now the flanking attack from Mexican Hipster is going to meet a machine gun bunker, very well placed by Commissar 500, who's going to just stop the attack into its tracks and force it back to base. So the 120mm mortars are going to have to change their targets to the bunkers relatively soon. Also to these machine guns, which are slowly but surely pushing the Allies back into their bases. And if the Allies on the right, who are doing well, are being pushed back, the Allies on the left are trying to slowly but surely get back into this 2v1ing Sahara. But now here comes 47 back to the rescue. He's already kind of done his business in the center and the right. He's helped his allies out in pushing essentially to their natural borders, I guess you could say. And now he's going to come back around and help out the left side regain its former glory. How does he do that? Well, he will have the Schwerpanzer headquarters set up right now. So that Schwerpanzer headquarters is hopefully going to churn out some vehicles in the near future. Excepting that he doesn't have that impressive of a force yet, because he's still got a lot of Volksgrenadiers. He's got one strong Fallschirmjäger unit and a couple of support weapons to help out. But other than that, he's now going to rely on these Panzerfausts and the stopping power of these STG-44s, which is going to be limited. Panzerfaust does go down on the Centaur AA tank, and right now the Flak half-track is stopping this Soviet infantry push, but is it enough? I do not know. I do not know. We do have these two anti-tank guns trying to push in, but there's actually a shock troop squad, and that could be pretty bad, but thankfully there was a machine gun protecting these AT guns. And if the AT guns had not been protected, well, the shock troops would have definitely made short work of them. We do have a push-in from this infantry section trying to sneak in and get the shots on these AE half-tracks, but it was not needed at all because of the conscript moving in with the anti-tank grenades. Grenades, normal ones, falling down from the other side of that wall, but it's not really enough because there's the battery headquarters. The Germans can just reinforce, and that's the beauty of it. That is the just map control that it will afford you. In the meantime, on the left side, we do have the Brummbär. Brummbär, strong anti-infantry, and also decently effective at anti-vehicles, especially against light vehicles such as the Centaur, or relatively light vehicles such as the Centaur. And so that's going to allow the Germans to recapture the left-hand side quite handily. But they're being swarmed in the center by Mexican Hipsters' conscripts. So the conscripts can actually steal a mortar, and they can secure this middle VP. So while they were doing well on the left side, they're starting to kind of lose back again a little bit of terrain in the center. But it is okay. It is okay for the Axis, because, of course, they're the Axis. So the longer they drag this, the better in better a position they're going to be. Of course, they need not to allow something like this to really put in a number on them. Priest is on the field for Bingjie, who has selected the infantry doctrine basically at the start of the game. He's also got an M21 mortar flak half-track? Or half-track? Half-track? Jesus Christ. It's been a long day. Anyway, it's actually raining shells along with the Priest down on that Schwerpanzer quarters, and it's actually a very, very forward and ambitious Schwerpanzer quarters, so I doubt that this Schwer will be able to produce anything other than this Panzer IV Ausf J, which is, never mind, a good thing. I mean, you just need to be careful about it, because, of course, right now he's using it in kind of a spearhead role, but he's not really giving it any infantry support, and so, of course, the Su-76 plus these anti-tank guns are going to be a big threat. Big threat. He's being helped out by 47's Fallschirmjägers, but they're taking 120mm mortar fire. Damn, that is a lot of damage. So 120mm, very, very strong you know, allowing for the Soviets to keep their points. And Luke's decides to push in the exact point where the enemy had AT guns. That was a very bad idea. He's lucky to have survived. In the meantime, the big blob is in actually a very bad shape because he's taking 76mm artillery fire from the AT gun, and he's also taking 120mm mortar fire, most likely. So this would be very, very dangerous to have. And actually, the Soviets will kind of, oh no, that's actually the Americans, will kind of work against it by dropping down some smoke and alerting the Germans that something was happening, instead of letting them just be completely wiped by the 120s. He decided to drop a 120, no, not 120, that would be 152mm TAM on target, which of course was never going to hit. TAM on target is always used usually against static targets, static hard targets, because it does a lot of damage and it's relatively accurate, but it just takes so long to get there. Like, you just want that thing on solid, you know, stationary targets and all of that, which is actually kind of funny, because in World War II, it was actually the Americans who had the quickest response time on artillery. Of course, it wasn't an orbital strike like in Company of Heroes, where it's like, you know, 2 seconds and instantly it's falling down. But, you know, it was like, you know, they could call it down within 10 minutes, have artillery support, which for the time was just incredible. That was a combination of, you know, artillery doctrine and good communications equipment and all of that. So that was kind of their advantage. And yet, in Company of Heroes, they're like the ones that have the artillery that takes the longest to fall down, which is kind of hilarious. Although, I mean, the Wehrmacht actually is the ones that have the artillery that takes the longest, because even like the light artillery barrage takes a while to fall down, and that's like a puny mortar barrage. Not even talking about the, you know, railway artillery. Anyway. That stuff aside, that ramble aside, we do have a bit of an attempt on the right side for the Germans to hold their territories that they had earlier, but of course, since they lost that Schwer Panzer, they don't have that anchor to base their defenses around anymore, and that was a very, very poorly placed Schwer Panzer headquarters, which was easy to destroy. So that is, of course, very good, because it has kind of opened the floodgates, and now the Allies are streaming in. They just don't fear anything, and they can just grab this fuel point, they can grab, you know, or at least destroy some caches. They can do a lot of things and put a lot of pressure on the German right side, which is going to force the left-hand side to kind of pull more forces over here, over to the center and over to the right. So that is going to be indirectly having an effect on the left side as well. If you take a look at the mini-map, we can see that the left-hand side is actually very stable right now, as it has been for most of the game. But the right side still is kind of a back and forth for both sides. That looks... Come on, it should die at this point. You see an Su-76 and an Su-85 trying to kill it. Come on, is it gonna die? Yes, it will. Finally dies. You know, not that I'm rooting for the Su-76, but that Luke's has just been so reckless. In fact, Hajime Masate just has been way, 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 way too reckless, and he should be punished, to be completely honest. He was very lucky earlier on that he hadn't lost any of those tanks, because he had just been playing so recklessly with them. You need to be supporting your tanks with infantry. You need to be supporting your tanks with infantry that can detect mines. Get some minesweepers on these Eastern Pioneers. He was lucky that his opponents did not have any mines drawn about the place. He was also very, very much not using his reconnaissance at all. Like, he did not try to get his Panzer Fusiliers to use flares on the enemy positions, even though some of his teammates are using flares. Or actually, no, that's probably the 120mm mortars. So, yeah. Not even really trying to see what is going on beyond his, you know, cones of vision, his limited cones of vision. Right side, Commissar 500 actually went for a P4, and he's going for a second one. I think that this is a mistake, to be honest. Ooh, nice grenade from the shock troops. I think that this is a mistake, but it's not that big of a mistake, actually. It would have been a mistake had that Schwer Panzer headquarters, you know, survived there for a long time, because it was pretty clear that Mr. Hajime was going for some Panzer IVs, and, you know, if the OKW guy goes for the Panzer IVs, then probably the Wehrmacht guy should try to get some Panthers out. Oh damn, there goes another Panzer IV. But considering that he's lost his Schwer Panzer, well, he might try to go for a KT or something. So in the meantime, you might as well get some Panzer IVs out to have a versatile medium tank force that's ready to respond at any time. So 47 went for a Jagdpanzer IV, actually. So he wants those tank destroyers. He wants the TD action. And as much as I can agree with the TD action, you need to be careful. especially on these kinds of maps where the flanking is real. Especially the flanking is going to be real for this Comet tank. And there's just a weird engagement going on over the center right now. I'm not sure who's doing it what. Flaming Fist was going for the S2, but he's also got an SU-85. So he's in a very good position. There goes that Luke. Another Luke's. Oh, come on. There goes the Luke's. There goes the P4. There goes a something over there. It was probably a P4, especially considering that if we take a look at the Commissar 500. Yep, he's missing a Panzer IV, so that was a Panzer IV. Only the Jagdpanzer IV survives out of all this madness, and that's very, very advantageous for the Allies. They can now use this opportunity to capture pretty much the entire right side of the map. And they have the temporary advantage when it comes to heavy tanks as well, so they need to be using this advantage as mercilessly as possible and push into the center and left-hand side, hopefully. Because if we take a look at the German situation, Hajime Masate has nothing. He's waiting for the Jagdtiger, and that's a huge mistake at this point. He needs to at least use his manpower, because look at this. The Jagdtiger is 720 manpower, and he's got 1,300. That is literally 600 manpower sitting there being wasted. And oh look, he's got 600 manpower. You could have built a Panzer Fusilier and a Sturmofficer. You could have built a Sturmpioneer and a Panzer Fusilier. You know, you could have done all sorts of things. You could have built a Raketenwerfer and a Sturmpioneer. Any number, any combination of things, you could have done it. Anyway, see, I was saying, the Germans aren't in the best place. Also, Sahara, 1,100 manpower and 366 fuel. He's gone for a howitzer, which is a good decision in my opinion, because the German side does need some artillery, but he needs a Panther as well to deal with the Comet. Otherwise, the Comet is just going to run over his Brummbär, and if the Brummbär is run over, well then the Centaur and the British infantry can run over the Axis infantry and support weapons. And as you can see, this is exactly what is happening. The big giant British pain train of doom is just rolling down, and there's no counter to it. We do have a massive infantry force from 47, but the massive infantry force will get absolutely shreked by these actual Centaurs. And look at this. This is going to be a massacre. The Centaurs are just going to cause so much manpower damage at this point to 47. And 47, unlike his buddies, doesn't have the manpower spare to actually reinforce all of his squads. And this is very bad. Look at this. He's taken so many casualties in this narrow corridor, but he's managed to at least inflict some big casualties to the British. So this was kind of a you lose something, you win something for 47. He's only lost one squad, actually, which I think was... Wait, has he lost only one squad? No, he's lost two. He's lost one Fallschirmjäger and a Sturmpioneer. I think he's lost a Sturmpioneer. Has he lost a Sturmpioneer? No, actually. He's lost two Volksgrenadier. No, one Volksgrenadier and one Fallschirmjäger. And now he's actually got a Jagdpanzer IV. This is actually very good. He's turning this around. Look at this. The Jagdpanzer IV is behind the Comet, and the Comet doesn't really understand what is happening. He's trying to pop the raid operation to be a little bit quicker, but I don't think it's working. I think it's only a capture thing, and it's only for infantry. Now the Jagdpanzer IV is chasing down the Comet, and if he can get this last shot in and kill him, there's absolutely nothing left for the British. Does 47 realize this? I think he does, because he was fighting him earlier on with his infantry. Because, oh no, actually the flaming wreckage of the Comet is going to slow down the advance of the Jagdpanzer 470. Now the Jagdpanzer 470 is going to meet the anti-tank gun. Is it going to make the right decision or not? See, the problem is 47 just can't know that his opponents just don't have anything left, and that is very unlucky, especially because very smartly Dilettant went for a strafing support. He called in that Hawker Typhoon support, and that saved his collarbone, his bacon. It saved his behind. It definitely saved them, because had the Jagdpanzer just chased him down, he could have definitely destroyed these two Centaurs. Anyway, right side. Jagdtiger is on the field for Hajime, but, I mean, 7 kills already, wow. 7 infantry kills. Did he use the supporting fire? Probably did. Probably used the supporting fire to kill a lot of allied infantry. That is cool. That's not something you see every day. Not a lot of people use the supporting fire. It's only 40, it's actually, like, very underrated. It's only 40 munitions, and yet it's essentially pretty good against, like, stationary infantry and soft targets. But it does, like the first round of fires, it's usually pretty accurate onto one place, except you can't really change where it is actually firing. It is a barrage, but you can't actually change where you're firing it. Also, what is this Jagdtiger doing? Run away! That is a timer target. But as you can see, it's so slow at coming down that even the Jagdtiger was able to... That was actually a major already? No, it was a timer target. It was so slow that even the Jagdtiger could just get a mile away from it by the time it had fallen down. So that's why I use it on buildings. Why on a half-track? Well, I guess he's afraid of German aircraft, but that's not that... It's not that righteous of a fear. It's not that justified at all. Allies still pushing up on the right side, trying to finish off this bunker, but it's not enough. So the Germans are actually slowly but surely regaining control on the right side, and this is what I mean by the German late game. Massive amounts of armor that the Allies are having trouble to deal with due to many reasons. Partially is probably going to be the support of the German infantry, because from what I've seen, the Germans have been coordinating their infantry and their armor more. And oh boy, we do have the switch on the left-hand side for Flaming Fist. That's also, of course, helping out. And Flaming Fist is moving in with his IS-2 and Su-85. The brave Jagdpanzer 470 is trying to put up a last-ditch effort to stop these guys, but it's not enough. There's too much firepower coming in from these two guys, and the Jagdpanzer 470 is trying to escape. He's running to Big Papa Pump, which is now reached the field. He's got the King Tiger, of course, but there's also other obstacles in the way. These anti-tank guns. Anti-tank guns, though, are probably going to just get swept aside by the Allied heavy tanks, not just the S2, but also the Churchill Crocodile, which is now on the field for the L'Entente, who has gone with the Vanguard operations. And that's, of course, going to allow the S2 and the Su-85 relatively free reign on the left-hand side, but they're not taking it, of course, because they don't know anything that's over here, and they don't have any infantry support. This is actually pretty smart. Wait, no, no. It was smart. It was smart. No, don't push in. I mean, the S2 is being relatively smart at staying at distance, but needs to be careful. Here comes the Crocodile. The Crocodile is spearheading the advance, and now he finds out that, oops, there's a KT. So Big Papa Pump is coming in, and I think that this Churchill Crocodile is going to die. He does manage to finish off that battlecry quarters, but of course here comes the Panzerfaust from those Volksgrenadiers, and so now he's in a very, very bad position. Here comes the damaged Jagdpanzer as well to join in the party, and he will manage to actually destroy the LEFH artillery crew, but I mean, it's not enough because the flames are not going to really damage the gun as well. And now, oh no, the Allies see that they're losing, and so they come in to lose more, and that's not good. The S2 is trying to chase after the King Tiger. The King Tiger is actually taking a lot of damage, but the S2 will get Panzerfausted by this infantry unit. On the right side, there's a big battle, but I can't actually follow it because this is very, very important actually right now. The Jagdpanzer 470 does manage to finish off the Su-85, and you know, an Allied attempt with some artillery. That's actually a flaming artillery incendiary, so it's not going to kill the Jagdpanzer. And there goes the S2, and the Tiger B is going to survive. The Tiger B, however, it's taking massive damage from the Allied Air Force. Here comes the Typhoons. The Typhoons do try to get a strafing run in on both of these tanks, on both of these German armor units, but they're actually being shot down by Axis AA, and God, that's a lot of lag. That is because of the smoke effects. Will it be enough? No. He is finished off by the Schwerpanzer Quarters crew. No, it was, I think it was the KT. Because I heard target hit with the KT's voice, so I think he was this guy that finished off the plane. Anyway, going back to the right side where we have a big battle going on, it looks like the Commissar guy is trying to move in. There's a bit of American force there trying to stop him, but there's also a big secondary attack coming down on the Jagdtiger. The Jagdtiger is forced to back off of a damaged engine. But it's really, as much as that was kind of a success, or rather it looked like kind of a success for the Allies, they are being pushed back slowly but surely. The Priest hasn't had the desired effect, not really all that much damage dealt, although the Jackson is definitely having some effect, and he has destroyed a P4. So that is good for him. That is good for him, but will it be enough? Because the Germans are back on track when it comes to the VPs as well. You remember how earlier on they were getting triple capped and kind of all sorts of bad things were happening to them. Now the Germans are at 207, but the Allies are at 272, so they're in a relatively better position. There goes a Centaur from that Jagdpanzer. This Jagdpanzer is just a daredevil, coming back along with basically no HP, and he's almost destroyed both of the Centaurs. He's destroyed one of them. He's going for the second one. What a savage. He's actually in a very dangerous, potentially dangerous neighborhood, but he manages to get in there and actually avoid any kind of danger because there is absolutely nothing that the Brits have left to defend those units. The Brits have decided to go with a massive amount of engineers, but they haven't equipped them with anything. Are there weapon racks? Yes, there are weapon racks back at base and 240 munitions. Plus the fact that a few of these munitions were spent on strafing supports, so that could have probably been avoided. So to be honest, upgrading these British sapper units with Brens and Piats would not be that bad of an idea. In fact, it is absolutely necessary. It was kind of an understatement. He needs to upgrade some of these weapons, otherwise his hordes are not going to be that useful, because the hordes of sappers are going to be like, yeah, we have Stens, you know, what are we going to do with Stens? I mean, these guys, these were the only Piat equipped squadrons. He has decided to send them right straight into the jaws, the waiting jaws of these Fortune Eaters. And now look, he's finally getting some weapons off of his Fort Assembly, but still. Big, massive artillery strikes. Also, by the way, today it's just not a day. I now need to go again, because I need to go to the bathroom. Yes, okay. So, if we come over here, you can see that this Zengun is not really in the best of positions. And overall, the whole Allied kind of front is falling. I mean, we have 3 howitzers for Mexican Hipster. Yeah, see, I was talking about the Allies having the advantage when it comes to resources, but they're not using it, which is really sad. Here comes a massive infantry attack, though. That's gonna do something. We also have Katyusha fire supporting in from Flaming Fist, so actually a lot of Allied resources being poured onto the right side, and it is having some effect. The whole German infantry is just collapsing back in panic. However, one of these, that's actually a mortar half-track, so that's kind of fine. Mortar half-track is destroyed by the Jagdtiger, and the Jagdtiger is actually taking lots of damage from both the anti-tank gun and the, sorry, the Jackson. And here comes the anti-tank grenades, which are probably going to finish off the Jagdtiger, along with some artillery that the Allies are going to walk into. Oh god. Is that going to have any consequences? Thankfully, they seem to have just removed friendly fire from Ko, because otherwise that would have not been good. Anyway, this is also going to expose the extreme right, which contains a Schwer Panzer headquarters, once again being placed probably a little bit too far front to Allied offensives. And that's going to allow the Allies to recapture the entire right side, but the Allies have decided to mass retreat all of their infantry, so now they can't actually capture or hold any of these, points. That is a big mistake, because it's allowing the Germans to get back into the areas that they should have technically just lost. And that's also allowing 47s and Commissar 500, no, not Commissar 500, Sahara's efforts that much more important, because the Allies aren't actually advancing on the right side. They have dealt a lot of damage to Germans' field forces, but they're now in a very, very shitty spot because they're not advancing, and now they're being pushed back into their own base. Jackson is trying to push in against the Königstiger using its HVAP rounds very, very well, but it hit a mine, so it's not going to be able to chase down and finish it off. So except for the Jagdtiger's destruction and a few German infantrymen being caught in the crossfire, it's not like the Allies really got much out of that engagement, and that was concentrating 3 players against 1.5, because Commissar 500 was not really helping in that engagement that much, or as much as he should have been. At least for, well, actually, no. See, I was gonna say, at least they're kind of tying down some units, but it's not like they're tying down all that much. They're just tying down Sahara's forces. Yeah, Sahara is just doing okay. I mean, he's gonna move in his lovely Comet tank. He does see that there's a Pak 40, and he's like, yeah, I've got a Sturmpanzer. I've got a Sturmpanzer, and you're gonna die. Comet is in a very, very bad spot, needs to run away in some way, but he's not, and so the Panther can come in and finish him off. And, well, let's speed it up. This is not looking good for the Allies. They've just wasted so many advantages. It's, at this point, kind of actually baffling. They're going for more priests instead of using their fuel. They're not using their fuel for some reason. It's like, yes, it's good and all to have artillery superiority, but not when it comes to gun artillery all that much, because yes, gun artillery is good, but in Company of Heroes, the role of gun artillery is to kill buildings. If you've killed all the buildings and you're too far away to, you know, kill any more buildings, because of course you can't actually fire into the base from your own base. If you're too far away, you don't need gun artillery. So these free Soviet howitzers, I mean, they may have some kills, but despite 23 kills, they have cost 1,800 manpower, and they haven't had a proportionately important impact on the game's course. Because I mean, what could they have done? Like, they might have barraged like a few OKW trucks every once in a while. They might have barraged a few positions that the enemies knew about, but they never really were decisive to anything. Whereas, for example, if we take a look at some more cheaper, but you know, some cheaper units such as this 120mm mortar, this is only 340 a piece, instead of 600, and it's had more field impact because it's not only managed to get kills, and it's gotten a lot of them, 16. And probably this is actually a recrew from earlier, so might not have been the entire number. He's also gotten flares and smoke usage out of this. So unlike the howitzers, which are just one way, they try to kill stuff, and if they kill stuff, good. If they don't kill stuff, they're worthless. Then the 120mm mortar is going to have some kind of field impact. And it's indeed like the units that are supposed to, you know, I guess be the artillery that kills are the rocket artillery, and we only have one actual rocket artillery piece on the side. No, actually two, okay. Sorry, two rocket artillery pieces on the side of the Allies. So it's not like they have that big of an advantage where it matters, because once they kill all the OKW trucks, at least the ones that they know exist, you know, as you can see, they're going to kill this one, and they're counter-battering the LAFH. But once they do that, it's like, what are the gun artillery pieces gonna do? Seriously, what are they gonna do? Right now, yeah, as you can see, both of the sides' artillery pieces are just counter-battering each other, it seems like. And, well, added effect of the allied ones is that they're also hitting the Schwerpanzerhorders and, you know, battle groups, all of that. Fourth artillery piece for Mexican Hipster. This guy has taken the phrase, the artillery is the god of war, a little bit too seriously. Oh boy, it's actually a Boise AT sniper. He's lucky that he doesn't have that one. I mean, he's also lucky that he's not the AT sniper that used to be, and that, you know, could just use the target treads at Vet 0 as well. Well, that's a good victory, at least for the British player Dilettante. And, yeah, that's good for him. He's stolen a pack, which is what allowed him to kill that Panther. And now, actually, Sahara's kind of in trouble because he's got two Stupas, two Brumbers, and no Panther to help them out. He couldn't just rebuild it, of course, with his resources. No Panther to help them out against the Comet, though, means that they're temporarily quite vulnerable. KT, of course, charges in, gets some damage, backs out, does his own thing. Let's speed it up again. We do have a bit of a push attempt by the Allies on the right side, but I don't see how they're actually going to push and hold any territory. They don't have any units that can hold any territory. They're going to need to rely on their artillery to pick off units, which is very unreliable, to be honest. As you can see, yeah, after Il-2 Sturmovik attacks plus Katyusha barrages, although those are going to wipe out the entirety of those two Panzer Fusiliers, so that's great. Oh boy, Stuka barrage. Hajimete has decided to get a Stuka, which is not really the best of decisions ever, but it can work. And he's also got a second Jagdtiger. Honestly, he needs some more infantry. Like, his friend over here, Commissar 500, has 3 squads of infantry, and that's fine, but the Axis on this side need more and better infantry. Of course, he did have more infantry, but he has lost them, so he needs to replace them ASAP. On the left-hand side, where the Germans have a much, much better infantry force, you can see the difference. This left-hand side is constantly in the hands of the Germans, and the only ever fluctuation is when the Allies try to make a play for this left-hand side VP, or when the Germans try to move ahead. The field point is never contested. The main important points just are never contested, and even the VP has been a relatively stable possession of the German Wehrmacht. Of course, the right side is kind of the opposite. There's been a totally massive just back and forth. And if anything, a little bit more in favor of the allies than of the Axis. And at least the priests are starting to get some, well, I'm not sure what they're trying to hit, but at least the priests are starting to get a little bit more aggressive, because what they need to do at this point is they need to start shelling the German base and trying to get some damage off in that way, because they need to find some way to use these artillery pieces in some way. Otherwise, they're going to be wasted investments, and the Axis are slowly going to overwhelm the Allies and field forces. Because if we take a look at the pop caps, well, we can see that 160 plus 130 equals 290. The Allies are at 95, 90, so 185, 285, 310, 315. So the Allies are far ahead when it comes to pop cap itself. But if we take a look at like how that pop cap is actually distributed, we do see that a lot of these are ML20 howitzers, which well, let's see very quickly. How much is this? This is 5. The Su-85 is 12, so that's 17. Then we have conscripts, so 27 plus 32 plus 42. So actually, only 42 of Mexican hipsters, 42% of Mexican hipsters' actual pop cap is in combat units. So while it looks like he's at a maximum pop cap, he's very, very strong. What do you mean? What do you mean he doesn't have any field presence? Well, only 42 of that 100 pop cap is actually on the field contributing. So only 42% is going to apply pressure for map control, which is going to be crucial at this point, because look at the VPs, 143 to 146. We are even. So while both sides are at this point starting to essentially stockpile so much fuel that it doesn't matter as much to have fuel points, especially because there's also fuel caches behind the lines for both sides, what really becomes important is if you can take and hold these VPs, and if you can inflict wipes on the enemy so that you can take and hold those VPs, because they don't have the units to fight over them and they don't have the veterancy to fight over them. Well, the answer to that question is becoming increasingly they don't have the field presence. Even Binger, he's got 30 pop cap tied down in priests, which, to be fair, it's not as much as Mexican has on those lovely howitzers. And Flaming Fist has, well, 2 Katyusha. That's fine. That's fine. That's no problem. In the meantime, if we take a look at the Germans, well, the only one that comes comparably close is Sahara, who has 2 LEFH howitzers. And, well, that's probably around like 12 or 14 pop cap, because, I mean, I'm not going to count all these units. So comparatively a lot lower. And all the other guys actually have mostly combat units. So it's almost like the Allies are 4v3-5ing, as in, it's almost like there's half a player that's missing to the Germans, because it's all tied down in these artillery pieces. That's essentially half a player, if not more, worth of pop cap. That's not doing all that much, because yes, it may be killing things every once in a while and maybe applying pressure, but it's not really applying pressure where it counts. It's not wiping out squads. It's not reliable. At least they're going to kill this Brimbear, the vet-free one. Although, I am disapproved. Yes, I am disapproved. That is not English. I am disappointed by this Comet's performance. Do not bow to these Mudaks. Sahara at this point should really consider using some of his men to help out in the center. Because at this point, he's kind of beating on a dead horse. There's not much more that the British player can represent as a threat to the Allied players. He can just like have a couple of units standing back, like perhaps MG, sniper, maybe 1 infantry squad, and 1 of the Broombears, and then send the other Broombear plus some infantry to the center to help out both 47 and the other German players, because at this point that's what he needs to do. Oh my god, the Fallschirmjägers are really starting to reveal their strength, absolutely mowing down some riflemen. And this is actually kind of crucial. the Fallschirmjägers are starting to get very heavily vetted up, and they're going to be able to just sweep every other allied unit that they face off the field. That's going to be great for them. It's going to be allowing them to just have this middle VP, and are they going to walk into their own Stuka barrage? No, they aren't. That's fine. But they do get hit. Actually, no, they do get hit by their own Stuka barrage. However, look at this. Very, very nicely done. Pushing up ahead with the Volksgrenadiere and letting them take the brunt of the damage. Of course, artillery notwithstanding. Comet is coming in, trying to push back the Brum. Trying to push up back that Brum, and probably isn't going to succeed, but there is a Pak-40 AT gun, and there's probably something else over here. Oh, it's the Jagdpanzer, but the Jagdpanzer is in serious, serious hurt. The right side seems to have been, once again, retaken by the Allies. That's very, very good, of course, but they have a couple of AT guns randomly moving in. Oh, they want to destroy this bunker. It's fine. And oh, look, casually, it's where the S2 is. It's almost like it's almost like it is a strong combat unit that can actually push in and do damage, and take damage, and spearhead assaults. Grenade. Interesting. Commissar 500 should really consider switching to more tier 4. I mean, he does have a Panther and a Panzerwerfer at this point, but damn, Stugs. I mean, I guess there's no point in not keeping these alive as much as possible. It is good, my friend. What is not good, my friend, is when big, strong AT gun kill you. And, oh boy, we have the Jackson coming in. So the left side, actually, there's a big mistake going on by Sahara. He's pushing in against the British player. That's not doing anything. That's allowing the Allies to come back into the center and into the right side and sweep across the weaker German forces over here. Although, in the center, we do have a very, very much, I guess you could say, contested engagement. There's some random artillery shells falling down, but the Soviet infantry is really what's ruling the day over here. And the left-hand side, yes, sure. We have Sahara moving in very, very strongly against whatever Britain is left. But whatever that is left of Britain is not very much. And this doesn't really pose any threat at all. Whereas the commitment from the Germans is actually very, very high. Even 47 has put some units in here. Now he needs to repair his KT. But this has allowed the Allies to recapture this center. And when you're kind of 100 to 100 down the wire, even like just a 2-1 cap for a few seconds essentially can decide between a lot and a lot. And what I mean by that is winning a lot or losing by a lot. Anyway, at least the Fallschirmjägers are doing well. And they get, wow, 110mm mortar. Proving its superiority once again. M8A1s, I am disapprove. Right away! No! Don't let your M8A1s die! Why? Why you do this to me? Oh no, the Jagdtiger is a little bit too far ahead without an infantry support who could have thunk it. And now it's screwed. Well, it isn't screwed, but the riflemen are definitely going to do damage to him. Comet tank. Dead. So now that frees up literally everything on the left side to move into the center because there's nothing else left, and the center does need some help as the Americans are pushing in relentlessly after the JT. The Soviet and no, this is just the Soviet engineers are capturing the center. That's very, very good. And now we do have the problem with this Brumbear. The Brumbear just got recruited over here. Oh no, it's actually the one that didn't get recruited. We do have the Typhoons coming in and they finish him off. However, of course, the Jagdtiger is able to escape. The right side VP is still neutral. Big mistake from both sides, not really caring about it. Looks like these Pioneers, though, will be able to get there. But, oh boy, big force from Flaming Fist is actually coming in to reclaim it. Although, what are these guys doing? Are they trying to steal that mortar? Or, I don't know. Guys, get the VPs. Get the VPs. Right now, oh boy, that seems like this is going to be not good. We have the Königsdieger being chased after by not only the Typhoons, but the Sherman Firefly as well. The Sherman Firefly has those Tulip rockets mounted on its, turret, but it gets destroyed by an anti-tank gun trap that was laid by Sahara. Well done, and well done with the bait of the Königsdieger. Yet more attempts by the Soviet infantry to attack in. Will it succeed? Doesn't look like it. by the Germans to get back into the center. It will not succeed, and the Soviets will reclaim this. Now the artillery pieces are becoming kind of interestingly useful because all they're doing is just shelling all over the place and trying to prevent the Allies from maneuvering freely. Especially over here, they're kind of putting up a curtain of fire around the VP, trying to, or at least hoping to, just catch the enemy as they're coming in. Of course, now that the barrages are actually over, well, now the German infantry can push in relatively unscathed, except for the Istru. So the Germans are down to 108, and there's 2 VPs under the control of the Allies, and, well, now here comes the big German push into the center. They have freed up all their forces on the left side, but they run straight into a massive barrage of Katyusha rockets, so that, of course, takes them down a notch. Of course, that is not enough to just stop them outright. They're still able to come in and at least try to capture, although a lot of these units have to escape out of there. These Fallschirmjägers, though, are still alive, and since they're still alive, they can come back in and actually exact that field presence that the Allies are also desperately lacking. No amount of artillery will save you when the Fallschirmjägers are there and the artillery is missing. Of course, what might save you are these M8A1 howitzers. These are very, very good. And now, once again, the Allied wave happens. So, Allied wave recedes. Axis wave commences, Axis wave recedes, Allied wave commences. So now, yeah, it's gonna be the Allies' turn to advance, and the Germans actually don't have that much artillery that can stop them. What they do have, though, is once they repair all their tanks, especially these 2, well, that's gonna be very, very good. Now, is it? Right side being recaptured, actually, by Commissar 500. Very well done. He knew that, or rather, he noticed that his side was actually unmanned, so he put in some nice pushes on it, nice units, and now he's in a good spot. Center recaptured by the Allies. Is it enough? Probably not. And some Soviets, just like Commissar 500 is going a little bit to the right, some Soviets are going to the left, and that is a very good decision. Very, very good decision. It's going to force the Axis to pull some forces back to that western flank. Big Katyusha barrages. Both sides are starting to run out of points back to 100, but... Oh boy. Look at this King Tiger. King Tiger very strong. King Tiger very strong, but S2 also pretty strong. S2 also pretty strong, and oh, main gun destroyed. Thanks to the support of all these anti-tank guns in the rear. Is actually very bad because the Axis have lost the center, and now there's a bit of pressure going on the right side. The left side needs to fall back onto the hands of the Germans. And with the King Tiger in need of repairs right about now, and not a lot that can repair it, even artillery shells falling on it, that was very well aimed, actually. Very well aimed by these artillery pieces. So actually kind of redeeming themselves and killing the King Tiger. However, that is kind of a blessing in disguise for 47. He's got 777 fuel points. So what would have happened had he kept this KT alive is that he would have had to wait a long, long while with his just KT repairing back over here. But now that he has lost it, he can wait 1 minute, get enough manpower, and get a new KT. So he's basically gonna have to wait less to get a new KT than to repair the old one. Yes, comrade. He's missing. He's missing a lot. Oh boy, the S2 is pushing into a very bad neighborhood. 2 big tank destroyers are barreling down its neck. And now he's in a bad way. He's also getting trapped by the M5 half-track. That is not very good. In the meantime, on the right, it seems like the Germans are doing very, very well, absolutely smashing all of Bingju's units. This could be very, very bad for him. And if he loses everything here, that's going to open up the entire flank to Commissar 500's roll-up. He's moving in that Panther, and there's just light vehicles all over. Artillery, light vehicles, there's nothing that can stop that Panther, so this is very, very bad for them. In the meantime, the Germans still hold the center and the left-hand side, so there's a triple cap happening right about now. And that's not good at all for the Allies. They're down to 100. That's about a minute and a half worth of ticket time to at least recapture one of the points. They're trying with the center, but the Panzer Fusiliers are too strong, and they're able to just stand there and fight. They're getting airstriked, and so they're gonna be escaping. But here comes the Fallschirmjäger horde, and so that's gonna get secured. There's absolutely no Allied units. My fucking god, this phone. There's no Allied units on the right side, so that is relatively safe. And the left side is also safe. So here comes the new KT by 47. And now he's in a good spot. Now he's in a good spot. Now the Axis are in a good spot, except for the center, which is of course still very, very contested. Somehow this Fallschirmjäger force was kind of destroyed, partially I think by artillery. So once again, artillery relatively coming into hand. But once again, see, the thing is, yes, it did force back this blob of infantry. Sure, that was good. But what's better is to have, you know, the blob of infantry actually being contained. Okay, I am back. Anyway, going back into this, yes, so there is this kind of attempt of the Allies over here on the center. On the left-hand side, oh, he's trying to use the raid operation, but it's too late as the Comets get absolutely shut down by all of these packs. That was well done by the Axis, and now they're able to secure the left side. They're kind of securing the center with the Jagdtiger plus, you know, what they were trying to do, but looks like finally the Soviets are going to get at least one of those VPs under Allied control. 40 as opposed to 82, but here comes Big Papa Pump. And is there anything to stop this thing? Probably not. I don't see one. I honestly don't see one. And so, as you can see, the KT is just going to show up and just going to kill everything. I mean, some artillery is going to fall down on it, which is going to slow it down and allow the Allies to bring up more things. But what do they have in terms of things? Oh, man. Flaming Fist. Send your units to the front. They can be critical at this point. In fact, they are critical at this point. Go in there and get something done. Also, one of these riflemen should go off and capture the VP. Right now, the VPs are maximally important. In the meantime, one of the riflemen should also try to just slow down this Brummbär a little bit, along with the Jackson. Probably sending both riflemen is not necessary. All right, 25 points for the Allies. The Allies are trying to recapture the right side. Where is Flaming Fist? He's got a ton of troops just sitting. Literally, all just sitting. I think he's AFK. That is just so sad. So many missed opportunities for the Allies to win this game. And yet, so far, they are. I think that, yeah, at this point with the Grenadiers returning to the right side plus the Brummbär, yeah, the Allies, even if they can capture this VP, there goes the Jackson. They're gonna get it stolen from them with this surge of Axis forces, and there's nothing that they can do to stop it. The center is gonna get recaptured by the Panzer Fusiliers plus the KT. The left-hand side is completely safe because the British player has been thoroughly whipped into submission. And now, yep. Well, isn't that just a critical AFK? He's literally gone AFK at the worst possible moment. And that's going to mean that his team loses the game. Although, the artillery does. Why did he retreat? See, that's the thing I don't understand about players. It's that, like, they retreat when there's absolutely no danger. Because, yes, there's some artillery. Why should you retreat, though? You can just walk 20 meters to the other side. And you're going to be fine. Oh, well. Even if that happens, yep, it's going to be over. And there we are. So a combination of many factors comes in and makes the Allies lose a game that honestly should have been theirs. But yes, this was a very, very good game. I'm sorry for the less than optimal cast, as I was interrupted about 17 times during the making of this. But yes, I want to thank you all for watching. I hope you have enjoyed, and I will see you soon.